God Family Country, good morning, everybody. You know, when the Waffle House closes down, you know it's real. Today, we're talking about Hurricane Milton making its way to Florida and the surprising indicator that even the Waffle House is shutting down. That's right. Waffle House closes when it's time to take a hurricane seriously. First up, let's talk about the Waffle House Index. You heard that right. There's an actual term for how serious the storm is based on whether the Waffle House decided to stay open. And guess what? Let's go ahead and pop this up. Hurricane Milton has the Florida Waffle Houses closing their doors. If you live in the Southeast, you know that when the Waffle House shuts down, you should probably be packing up and heading out. So Waffle House right here, our Waffle House Index status map reflects our closures as of 2 p.m. today in advance of Hurricane Milton. More updates to come. Please stay safe. Due to potential for variations in Milton's path, the information is subject to change without notice. Please follow local guidelines. So we're looking at the Waffle House, and the Waffle House is saying we're closing down. And hey, when the Waffle House, the reason why this is important, the Waffle House is known for serving good food fast since 1955. Waffle House, why aren't you in San Antonio? And are you coming back to San Antonio? We'll talk about that later. I know you got a lot on your plate. Didn't really, pun intended though, but no serious laughing matter as Florida braces for the hurricane that's coming. But they just said, I have a lot on my plate right now. And they made some comedy in the time of them facing extreme weather conditions. I just want to know, are the waffles that good there? I need to find out, because the waffle, for the most part, there's these couple of people or a couple of versions of waffles that are amazing. So I'm just curious, how good are the Waffle House waffles? Are they just good to people at 3 a.m. who are drunk and it just tastes delicious that there's some hot food and some people willing to cook it that late at night or early in the morning? So anyways, the Waffle House is known for staying open during anything, storms, holidays, you name it. So when they decide to close for a hurricane, it's a big deal. Emergency managers actually use it as a way to gauge the severity of a disaster. With winds increasing on the Florida coast, it's not just about staying safe, it's about understanding that this storm is no joke. Have you guys ever seen a Waffle House close down for a storm? Is this Waffle House a good index to go by? Is this now your go-to sign when it's time to leave town? Let us know in the comments, and maybe everywhere in every city needs a Waffle House so they know how serious the storm is. Well, next I want to take you guys to National Hurricane Center. Winds will begin to increase along the coast of Florida by this afternoon as Milton approaches. Preparations include evacuation. If told to do so, should be rushed to completion this morning. The winds are going to increase along Florida by this afternoon, and Milton remains a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane. This is happening, folks, so let's keep Florida in prayer. Let's not crisscross applesauce and pray. Let's put some action behind our prayer. We got to get out of the areas that we need to get out of. Call your people, pray for them, assist them, help them. You got an extra place for them to sleep. And your family member, let them know. Just come here and ride it out and survive. Some people may be thinking, well, I got to pay my bills. Well, you don't have to pay bills if you're not around to pay them. So survive first. Worry about the other stuff last. This is no good at all. They're saying they're expecting it Wednesday, and they're saying that it strengthened back. So it looks like it had lost some, it had fizzled out a little bit, but now it's on its way to Florida. And if we look at the weather on the west coast of it, Marco Island, Florida, we can see right now it's about 80 degrees. And they're issuing a special marine warning. Severe thunderstorms capable of producing waterspouts were located along a line extending from the near Gasparilla Island to 31 north of Art Tower. So hazards, waterspouts, and wind gusts in excess of 50 knots. On that west coast, that ocean's already closed down. They're issuing a special marine warning, and people are preparing. People are leaving. There's the mass exodus in Florida, and we're just hoping, we're praying everyone's going to be well, and those that can help are, I'm assuming, helping, right? What can we do to help? Where are some good companies that we can donate to that's going to spend more than the 10% or the minimum percent of the money or the food that we give to them? Obviously, the food they're going to give out, but how do we make sure that our money, we get our best bang for our buck? And that's what's going to be most important, because I could start a nonprofit and legitimately run it. And as long as I give 10%, I'm able to legitimately call myself a nonprofit as long as I'm donating that 10%. Now, I know when you start out in the beginning and it's small, you got to pay for all this work because it's happening. I'm talking about huge organizations and their ability to positively impact people and their weirdness of becoming profitable to the people that run them. And I'm not saying that the people that run them don't deserve to get paid, but it's a nonprofit. Look for those companies that are going to give the bulk of your donation to the actual victims rather than absorb them in, their burn rate, their costs of doing business. Look for those that already have that appropriated, and they could kind of funnel that money appropriately. And that's going to be your best bet. Florida, I don't know what to say. Whew, man, this hurricane, it's wild. All right. So now we're going to move on. The Washington Post and the art of fact checking. As you can see right here on the left, Washington Post has on their header menu a page that you can click on dedicated to fact checker. Now, they're doing their fact checking right. They got a lot of their own stuff in here, and maybe that's what it's for, retractions. But no, Biden didn't take FEMA relief money to use on migrants, but Trump did. Trump falsely accuses President Biden of redirecting disaster funds, a budget maneuver Trump himself approved in 2019. This multi-million-dollar company has a dedicated fact checker, but it's sparked some debate over whether they're really keeping themselves accountable or they're just controlling the narrative. I think we know the answer to that. It's almost like they're playing referee, but are they really calling the shots fairly? Let's find out.
So FEMA regional administrators have been meeting.
To give you a little background on this, this is Washington Post saying that they didn't use FEMA funds on migrants. And this is KGP in 2022 saying that we are using FEMA funds on migrants. Now, here I am, little old me, little old media company here in Texas with one person and not very much research. Do I always get it right? No, but I'm not getting it as wrong as the Washington Post. And now this is their nature of doing business. They have bodies to throw at fact checking, making sure we're in the good. But at this point, it's all about winning the election. And we can see that WAPO is in for the left. And it makes me wonder, all these people that are gunning so hard and will lie to you and tell you anything, what do they have to lose if they don't win? What type of accountability will be in place? Because you've heard Tim Walz and Kamala talk about this censoring of the First Amendment, and they'll say they're not trying to censor the First Amendment, but the First Amendment doesn't apply to hate speech, and that sounds great on its core. I also don't like to hear racist people talk or people that are trying to enact violence on people. At the same time, I know that we could whittle this down depending on who the majority is, and under who the majority is in power, they can figure out how to interpret what isn't hate speech. So it's not about the outright that I think we disagree on. I think it is about the unspoken. And usually how it starts is you're laughed and said you're being silly, too detrimental, taking it too hard. That would never happen. But look at how many things that they said in 40 years ago that would never happen, that is happening right now in real time. So that's your indicator right there where you know it could happen, and it probably will happen if we let you do what you do and we just pull the wool over our eyes and says, oh, that makes sense. You're only going to use it when you decide that it's hate speech. And I guarantee will be politicized and it will be weaponized if they decide to determine what is hate speech, and it will be dependent on the amount of influence that you have on people. And if your opinion makes their lives feel bad and now they need a safe space and they need a corner to hide in, you're now promoting hate speech and you will be censored. So that's the issue that we should be aware of, and that is the concern. So anyways, let's hear what Biden's team has to say, because they said, Washington Post said, Biden didn't use FEMA funds on migrants. Let's see what KGP in 2022 has to say about that.
So FEMA regional administrators have been meeting with city officials on site to coordinate available federal support from FEMA and other federal agencies. Funding is also available through FEMA's emergency food and shelter program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants.
I mean, there you go. You don't really got to do much. So we got Karine Jean-Pierre and the Biden-Harris administration showing once again that they're full of contradictions and lies. And I exposed this in a film I got to edit down last night. And the Washington Post is now in on the gig. And they're just, the fact that people are still going to them, it's just like a lot of news stations have become the National Enquirer. They're selling emotion. They're not selling truth. They have no journalistic integrity, and they have no plan on doing that. It's all hands on deck for the lies, for the machine. And, you know, critics joke, they spend more time fact checking others and blaming other people, especially the administration. As far as Tim Walz, he was interviewed by 60 Minutes and decided to bring Trump up. And it's just really weird. They're just like, well, I know I didn't, but I'm not as bad as Trump. Come on. As a man, the most unmanly thing you could do in front of me is point your finger to somebody else. When I'm talking about you and a situation that you did, is for you to lift your finger. I don't know if you had a bout of estrogen or what's going on, but you to lift your finger and point at another man and say, it's not fair because this guy, like, okay, let's address that guy. But first, let us just address your issue on its own. Again, this whole thing, is this fact checking or is this narrative shaping? And it seems to be narrative shaping. So are folks easy to shape? Unfortunately, yes. You don't have to do this is proof right here. You don't have to do a good job if you want to change somebody's mind. If you want to keep somebody emotionally tuned to the channel that you want them on, so that they could vote the way you want and live the way you want, be enraged at what you want them to be enraged at, to be divided as a country. This is how easy it is. Proof doesn't matter.